Okay, with great pleasure, let me now bring on board a very special voice, Mr. Vallabh Bhanshali, Chairman of the ENAM Group. Mr. Bhanshali, good morning and thank you for joining us. Mr. Bhanshali, whereas we can talk about merits and demerits in the way how the black money has been scrapped and what it will do to the financial system, at a broader level, at a society level, what do you think will automatically change because of this?
I call this a freedom fight. We had the political freedom achieved in 1947. We started the economic liberation in 91. And this is a kind of social liberation. Nikunj, we had got so used to, right from the British times, to an economy which had black money. And then black money represented everything black in our life, whether it was personal life, social life, or political, or, national interest. So from doing drugs to doing mujra to doing whatever, it was always facilitated by black money. And what this move has done is it has made that very, very difficult. So I think it's a big move on the social front, the way we live, the way we think of money and business. I think it has changed dramatically. And that impact is very, very large. The second impact which I see in the current context of what is going on with our neighbors is that it makes their life extremely difficult. So, and therefore, it's just very strategic even from that point of view. It's not only fake currency, but even doing anything that they want to do, whether it is through drugs or through currency, becomes very difficult. And of course, from macroeconomic point of view, it just boosts our currency, it brings down interest rate, brings down inflation, and most of all, the prestige of this government for being a reformist government, it has done nothing which is populist, it has done everything which is reformist, and howsoever difficult and cumbersome it is in the short term, they have taken all those steps. So I think it's just a red letter day.
Mr. Bhanshali, good comes with bad, and the bad part here is the entire transition. The transition of what will happen to the parallel economy, importance of the parallel economy. The parallel economy also creates consumption, it also creates demand. Globally also we know that parallel economies also exist and there's importance attached to it. So do you think the way parallel economy will now start caving in, that will have an impact on the aggregate demand?
This is from my spiritual path, and how when there are dirty things, all the good people go away. This parallel economy has kept good people away from our country and, major participation in our economy for a long, long period of time. As we cleanse our system, we bring in, what is normally expected of an economic, terrain like bankruptcy law and Aadhaar and electronic payments and things like that. You do not know the kind of money and the kind of attention that we will receive once all this becomes real. It is on paper or it is, just been rolled out. But once all this whole melange of, new way of life gets established. Nikunj, let me take you back to times when we had market only for 2 hours, we had badla, we had curb trading, we had, transfer forms. We have gone past all of that from open cry to this. People said, oh, how will we ever trade, and so on and so forth. In field after field, sector after sector, I've seen that reform brings only good, and good. The short-term pain is normally on the day of the event, it seems very big. But you'll find that, human ingenuity will find solutions to it. The government is here not to, create difficulty for us. I mean, I heard the Prime Minister speak, and we have, since morning looked at, aspect after aspect that how resolutions can be made. Oh, I think a lot of people are breathing easily. I just heard Shikha Sharma talk to you some time back, that how she made her driver's temperature come down and, her calmness, his calmness go up. So I think we are going to overcome the short-term pain much faster than most people think. One point that I want to also tell you is that there is a macro hisab. Way back in 1978, Morarji Bhai, had demonetized big notes, 1,000, 5,000, and we had even a 10,000 note. Not many people may have seen a 10,000 rupee note. The currency was about 145 odd crores, and then only 125 crores was tendered, and 20 crores became a profit for the government, or for the Reserve Bank of India. And how that accounting is very esoteric, so most people would not know, and even I do not know with clear authority. But I think in this case, there could be a gain of something like anywhere from 1.5 to 3 lakhs, depending upon how much currency is not turned in eventually. Now that is a very, very big number. I mean, 30,000 crores from IDS scheme is, giving us happiness. What about 5 times, 7 times, 10 times that number? That is the possibility in this move. So we haven't even absorbed the import of all this.
Right. Mr. Bhanshali, I agree with you completely on a spiritual level when you say that change does bring about with it little pain. It may be very near term in nature, maybe not longer term. Longer term, we're all on the same page that this is for a good cause and it's going to flush out black money out of the system. Mr. Bhanshali, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. No, but the point that I was trying to
get... But I missed your question if you asked one.
Yeah, I just want to get to the point that, while we're on the same page, that long term, this is definitely a good move. But the point that Nikunj was trying to highlight earlier, that the transition is going to be painful indeed. We were chatting with economists since the morning, and, they're of the view that definitely in the near term, their GDP estimates will come down. This is going to impact earnings as well. Are you on the same page as them?
Indeed, I think every momentous move will have short-term difficulties. But I can tell you that when you see mid-term and long-term improvement in things, the way you tackle the short-term crisis changes. It's like, if I take a vaccination shot, it is painful. But I'm likely to be less drowsy, less grumpy, because I know, oh, this is going to be good for me, as compared to when I have an unknown disease and I have the same pain or half the pain. So the anxiety factor not being there, there's something leading to good things, improves our ability, improves our ingenuity, and therefore, in that sense, we will find solutions which are better and faster than most people can think. And I'm ready to, take a challenge on this, that in 15 days' time, I'm ready to have a chat with you and then see that how much easier most people are feeling.
This is on record 15 days from now, and we will indeed have a chat. We'll make sure we have one.
But Mr. Bhanshali, just to understand that element of adjustment, now that there is a serious case for cost of capital in the country to come down, inflation structurally will come down because the artificial demand which got created because of black money and black hoarding will come down. What happens to rate sensitives? What happens to companies which are borrowing at high cost of capital in India, which is much higher than the global averages? Do you think that's the big thing we should focus on now?
I think indeed, mathematically, if I'm, I've got liabilities that are higher cost, I have to kind of reset them. But it takes time, there's an adjustment period. And a bank clearly gains and loses on this account more than anybody else. But in the ordinary course of business, all this gets adjusted. It becomes particularly difficult if my business outlook, goes down at the same time, that I have a bigger liability and then I'm not doing well in business also. So real estate firms and, sectors like that, they will be harder hit. But other companies, as the economic activity picks up, I think in a few months, people will get used to it and the interest rates won't come down immediately, kind of. The lending rates will take some time to, translate that new reality.
Mr. Bhanshali, good morning. Tanveer here as well. Just wanted to get your sense on the other big story that we are following today. And, no U.S. network has just as yet called the U.S. election, but we know that Trump is leading by a margin. In a global environment where a lot of the developed markets are talking about protectionism, they're talking about looking inwards, do you think that India will still be able to stand out, in drawing investments from those markets? And because investments pretty much, that's where the answer really lies to infrastructure development and, meeting the core sector needs that there are here. Or do you think that irrespective of the kind of policies that there are in the Western world, India will be able to stand out and this next decade will really belong to India?
I think it's a very good question. Let's look at how interlinked the world is. That if Apple wants to make its phones and America wants to benefit from Apple's tax, is there a choice that they won't sell to India or won't invest in India? So I think, therefore, from a political point of view and demagogy point of view, you say all these things, but the harsh reality is that whether it be Japan, whether it be America, whether it be Sweden, Norway, they don't have large enough domestic market for most of the things they make. They have to be, globally integrated, and to be able to, tap a market, you have to make large investments in it, in promotion, in advertising, in linkages, and eventually manufacturing. So I think, given the fact that India is a large domestic market, India has its own demand. It is not dependent on exports, and it is dependent on remittances a lot more than FDI at this point of time. So that would be terrible if there is a capital control in those countries. So, but all those things look very far-fetched. Net, I think India is going to be in a most premium position, even if the world turns protectionist. If things become very bad and radical, there is no way that we will not be affected, but we will be affected the least, because we have a large domestic economy which is only getting more and more strong.
And when it comes to the pitch from the Republicans or pitch from Mr. Trump, which is that he's going to go at a war with China, is going to create a trade war. Do you think nothing of that is unlikely to happen, because China and US, they both are members of WTO, and the American Constitution is very, very strong, so we should not fear of a trade war in the world?
So we've seen that with a lot of previous presidents, and not all that they said they could implement. Mr. Obama could, pursue his Obamacare program with great difficulty. And it's only because he was a mighty popular president, who's seen as a nobleman, that he succeeded. But given the fact that, how the Congress and Senate will be constituted, one has to see, and the laws themselves. So a lot of these things, there's a big difference between a candidate and a president. So we have to let him settle and then really see, at what value we take all those statements. But indeed, the markets are extremely nervous. The global markets are casting a long shadow in our markets also, irrespective of what the merit of the move is. And there is no denying the fact that this volatility is bound to affect us. And so we have to see how quickly it settles.
Closing comments from you, Mr. Bhanshali. Last time when we interacted with you, you did raise concerns about slightly stretched valuations. At what point in time a value investor like you would say that, look, I'll ignore the fear, I'll ignore the news, I'll be a buyer because value has started surfacing up again? Are we far away from there, or are we reaching there now?
So what you're seeing is that even in this reaction, what were already moving towards 52-week lows have gone lower, and the rest of the stocks are not materially down. So wherever you'll see, because of this global chaos, if the stocks fall for some reason, or for short-term disruption in demand, and could be consumer stocks and things like that, one would look at them. But otherwise, buying into the market on sheer fundamentals requires effort. We are happy to put in that effort. We think that effort will bring more easy rewards now. No way easy. They will be easier, but not easy.
Really appreciate your time, and thank you for accommodating this interview request. That was Vallabh Bhanshali of ENAM, clearly outlining that what may look like.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.